Hello and welcome to Tech Insight here on Spectrum Television, the show where we talk about innovation, tech, and everything in between. Welcome to the show today. It's Tech Insight here on Spectrum TV. My name is Samuel Ugochukwu, and it's great to have you join us again on the show. Well, last week we had a very engaging conversation on the future of artificial intelligence, where we looked at how AI scaled rapidly in 2025 and what that growth means for individuals, businesses, governments, and industrials going forward. One statement stood out from the conversation: that any company that fails to integrate AI into its operations will become obsolete in the next few years. That conversation, of course, sparked a lot of reactions, and we'll definitely continue exploring that theme in the coming weeks. But today on the show, we are taking a deep dive into some of the biggest tech trends, tech stories making the rounds across the globe, from artificial intelligence to big tech decisions to internet access, regulation, and the future of digital platforms. Let's take a quick break. When we return, we go straight into the stories for today. It's Tech Insights on Spectrum TV. Welcome back. It's Tech Insight here on Spectrum TV. Now let's get straight into our first story for the day. At the recently concluded CES 2026, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang once again placed the company at the center of global AI conversation, unveiling a new wave of innovations that further cement the company's dominance in artificial intelligence ecosystem. Speaking to a packed audience, Huang outlined Nvidia's vision of what he described as the next phase of accelerated computing, where AI systems are no longer just tools, but foundational infrastructure for entire industries. Key announcements included next-generation AI chips optimized for real-time reasoning, robotics, and large-scale data centers, as well as expanded software platforms designed to help enterprises deploy AI faster and more efficiently. Nvidia also showcased advanced AI simulation tools, allowing developers to train robots, autonomous machines in environments before real-world deployments. Let's take a listen to Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang.
We started working on self-driving cars 8 years ago, and the reason for that is because we reasoned early on that deep learning and artificial intelligence was going to reinvent the entire computing stack. And if we were ever going to understand how to navigate ourselves and how to guide the industry towards this new future, we have to get good at building the entire stack. Well, as I mentioned earlier, AI is a 5-layer cake. The lowest layer is land, power, and shell. In the case of robotics, the lowest layer is the car. The next layer above it is chips. GPUs, networking chips, CPUs, all that kind of stuff. The next layer above that is the infrastructure. That infrastructure, in this particular case, as I mentioned with physical AI, is Omniverse and Cosmos. And then above that are the models. And in the case of the models above that I've just shown you, the model here is called Alpamayo. And Alpamayo today is open sourced. We imagine that someday 1 billion cars on the road will all be autonomous. You could either have it be a robo-taxi that you're orchestrating and renting from somebody, or you could own it and it's driving by itself. Or you could decide to drive for yourself. And so, but every single car will have autonomous vehicle capability. Every single car will be AI powered.
Nvidia CEO there, Jensen Huang, speaking at the recently concluded CES 2026. Well, what stood out for me here is how Nvidia is no longer just powering artificial intelligence, it's actually actively shaping the direction of the entire AI ecosystem, from chips to platforms. This is actually Nvidia doubling down on being the backbone of artificial intelligence. Now let's shift focus from chips and CES to the heavy industry. Well, still talking CES 2026. Now, while consumer gadgets often dominate headlines at CES, Siemens used CES 2026 to shift attention toward a quieter but arguably more transformative space: industrial artificial intelligence. The company unveiled AI-powered solutions focused on predictive maintenance, digital twins, and an intelligent automation, allowing industries to reduce downtime, improve efficiency, and cut operational costs. Siemens demonstrated how AI can monitor industrial equipment in real time, detect faults before failure occurs, and autonomously recommend corrective actions. This represents a major leap from traditional automation towards fully intelligent industrial systems. A major highlight was the expansion of digital twin technology, virtual replicas of physical systems that enable engineers to simulate, test, and optimize operations using AI-driven insights. Now, as global industries face rising costs, labor shortages, and climate pressures, Siemens CES 2026 showcases positions industrial AI as a critical solution for the future of production and infrastructure worldwide. Now, this is a strong signal that AI is moving beyond consumer tools into the heavy industry, and it's good to see what Siemens is doing. And of course, there was a collaboration between Siemens and Nvidia right there at CES 2026. Factories and energy systems infrastructure will be some of the biggest winners of AI in the next decade. Let's move on now to the Middle East, where Iran is currently experiencing one of the longest and most severe internet shutdowns in its history, as protests across the country continue. Reports indicate widespread disruptions to mobile data and broadband services, significantly limiting access to social media platforms, messaging apps, and independent news sources. For millions of Iranians, this has meant isolation from the global digital technology and restricted communication with the outside world. Internet shutdowns have increasingly become a tool used by government during periods of unrest, but this does not only suppress free expression, but also damage the economy, affecting businesses, freelancers, and essential online services. The situation in Iran highlights growing global issue where internet access is increasingly used as political tool during periods of unrest. Now, as protests persist right there in Iran, the length and scale of Iran's internet shutdown underline the fragile relationship between technology, governance, and civil liberties. Well, in today's digital world, shutting down the internet is no longer just a technical decision. It's a decision that affects all industries across board, and it's an economic and human rights issue. We do hope that the protests in Iran subsides and the people there are allowed to have access to the internet as soon as possible. Let's move on now to Africa, where Starlink continues to face regulatory challenges in South Africa. Yes, Elon Musk's satellite internet service Starlink continues to face regulatory and operational challenges in South Africa, despite growing demand for reliable broadband connectivity. Starlink has been promoted as a solution for undeserved and remote areas, offering high-speed internet through low Earth orbit satellites. However, in South Africa, the service has encouraged hurdles related to licensing, spectrum regulations, and compliance with local ownership laws. Regulators insist that Starlink must align with national telecommunications frameworks designed to promote local participation and fair competition. This has slowed widespread deployment, frustrating users who see satellite internet as an alternative to unreliable terrestrial networks. Now, the situation underscores a key reality for global tech companies: market entry, especially in emerging economies, which requires navigating complex regulatory environments and building local partnerships. Now, as Africa continues to seek solutions for its connectivity gaps, Starlink's challenges in South Africa highlight the importance of policy alignment in turning technological promise into practical impact. Well, this shows that no matter this report in South Africa, this back and forth between Starlink and the regulatory authorities right there in South Africa shows that no matter how advanced technology is, success in an emerging market still depends highly on understanding local partnerships, local laws, and policy alignment. You're watching Tech Insight here on Spectrum TV. Let's take a very short break, and when we return, we continue with more global tech stories. Stay tuned. Welcome back. It's Tech Insight here on Spectrum TV. Let's continue now to Google, where Google has introduced new features that significantly expand Gemini's role, positioning AI and positioning it as the full-scale personal development AI assistant. The update allows Gemini to manage schedules, summarize emails, assist with research, and integrate seamlessly across Google's ecosystem, from search to productivity tools and smart devices. Google says that the goal is to move from reactive AI to proactive assistance, where AI anticipates user needs. However, the move also raises concerns around privacy, data usage, and user trust. With this move, Google is clearly intensifying competition in the AI assistant space as tech giants race to embed AI into everyday lives. Now, the coming months will reveal whether users are ready to embrace AI not just as a tool, but as a constant digital companion. Well, good to see what Google is trying to do with Gemini AI. And of course, all the big players in artificial intelligence are doing their best to embed and integrate artificial intelligence across all tools. And it's good to see what Google is doing with Gemini AI. Let's move on now to other stories. And speaking of AI assistants, one announcement recently surprised many across the tech world. Now, in a surprising but strategic move, Apple has confirmed that it will integrate Gemini into Siri, marking a significant shift in Apple's AI strategy. Known for its tightly controlled ecosystem, Apple's decision to collaborate with Google reflects the rapid pace of AI development and the pressure to deliver more advanced conversational capabilities to users. The move is expected to significantly improve Siri's conversational abilities, contextual understanding, and task execution. Industry analysts see this as a pragmatic decision by Apple, prioritizing user experience while accelerating its AI roadmap through strategic collaboration. The partnership also reflects a broader trend in big tech, where competition is giving way to selective collaboration in the AI race. Great stuff to see there. Google and Apple coming together. I mean, these are one of the two biggest names in the tech world coming together to collaborate on artificial intelligence. And like they say, a whole lot can be done with collaboration, and it's good to see Apple and Google coming together to do this one. To other stories now, let's let you know that Grok, the AI chatbot integrated into X, that is formerly Twitter, is now limiting how users can edit images of real people following a recent international backlash. Now, the decision comes amid growing concerns about deepfakes, misinformation, and AI-generated content being used to manipulate or misrepresent individuals without consent. Under the new restrictions, Grok will prevent certain types of image alterations involving real people, particularly public figures, in an effort to reduce misuse and potential harm. This move reflects increasing pressure on AI platforms to introduce safeguards as generative tools become more powerful and accessible. Now, while critics argue that the changes should have come sooner, the update highlights ongoing struggle to balance creative freedom with ethical responsibility in AI development. They say the restrictions are aimed at preventing abuse while still allowing creative freedom. Yes, of course, if you were on the show, if you tuned into the show last week, I had a conversation with David Ajibade, and one of the issues we mentioned was regulations and how authorities need to step in to regulate the use of artificial intelligence. And this right here, this particular story is a proof to that. Grok stepping in to limit users from creating images, deepfakes, and misinforming people on social media. Finally, let's turn to the creator economy now, where YouTube has announced changes to its monetization policies, allowing creators to earn revenue from certain controversial topics previously restricted. The platform says that the new update aims to support nuanced discussions and responsible journalism rather than penalizing content solely based on subject matter. Now, under the new revised guidelines, videos discussing sensitive issues when presented in an informative and contextual manner may now qualify for ads. However, YouTube maintains that content promoting harm, misinformation, or hate speech will remain ineligible. Now, this policy shift has sparked debate among creators, advertisers, and media analysts, raising questions about content moderation, advertiser trust, and the role of platforms in shaping public discourse. As online creators continue to influence global conversations, YouTube's decision underscores the complex balance between free expression, revenue, and platform responsibility. Now, for me, this is YouTube walking in a fine line between the creator freedom, just like we talked about what's happening in X, formerly Twitter, and Grok. They're trying to balance the line between creator freedom and platform responsibility, and it's raising important questions about where content moderation should draw the line in a world of today that is driven by content engagement and revenue. Well, it's good to see that all these regulations are coming into place across social media platforms and across artificial intelligence tools and models to regulate how these technology influence and affect our lives. Well, those are some of the biggest stories in tech and innovation making the waves this week, from artificial intelligence to connectivity to regulation and digital rights. It is clear that technology is immensely shaping how we live, how we work, and how we communicate. We keep breaking it all down right here on Tech Insight. And that is the size of our package for today. My name is Samuel Ugochukwu. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of Tech Insight. Of course, you can catch up on episodes of Tech Insight on our YouTube channel, Spectrum Television, and do well to follow us across our social media platforms, Spectrum TV Live on Facebook and at Spectrum TV NG on Instagram. You're watching Spectrum TV. Keep watching.